This video is going to be about how to use vertex colors instead of ambient occlusion textures. First, we'll say a few words about the process in general. Then we'll see how to do this specifically with vehicle in Maya. And at the end, we'll see how to get this prepared model with vertex colors, with baked vertex colors, and integrate it into Unreal Engine. So as the usual vertex colors are used for a little bit different reasons than substituting ambient occlusion textures. In games, normally they would use vertex colors for skinning, vegetation, or skinning characters. Or the other common use for vertex colors is to mask environment textures in order to mix 3, 4, or as many as we need environment textures into one single mesh. But in this case, we're not going to use neither one of these two. And as I said, we're just going to bake lighting information, same like ambient occlusion, pretty much the same principles and everything, but instead of generating textures, um, we are going to bake the lighting information into the vertices of the model. As I said earlier, this model has lighting information as an ambient occlusion. There is into the vertices, there are no textures involved right now, neither any lights in this scene, only ambient occlusion that is in the vertices of this model. And the whole trick is to take this model into a gaming engine and figure out how to preview this. So when we make ambient occlusion in this way, two things that we need to keep in mind are to have uniformity between the models. For example, all vehicles is uh, a very good idea to have the exact same type of ambient occlusion in terms of how much ambient occlusion you have on the model. Uh, we can have many different types of ambient occlusion. Everything depends on the kind of lighting we are using to generate the occlusion. So it's the best to use, for example, all the same HDR for all your models, and this will produce the same type of ambient occlusion on all of them, and therefore you're not going to need to compensate any differences in ambient occlusion in the engine, which is can be very hard. So uniformity is important, and the second thing is subtlety. As you can see here on this model, the ambient occlusion is it's not a lot, and this is done for a reason, because we only want ambient occlusion or baked AO in the 1/4 of the surface of the vehicle. We don't want very soft transitions. Like we can bake an ambient occlusion that is very soft and we have gray areas uh, throughout the entire surface of the car. And this ambient occlusion can look good as well, but we don't want that. We want to, once again, only accentuate. We want the global illumination in the engine to produce 3/4 of the lighting and the shadowing of the model, and we will only affect the last 1/4, which is essentially the areas where pretty much always there are shadows. And in these areas usually is where the game engines are failing to produce realistic lighting. And one last thing that is important about vertex colors to mention is ambient occlusion is black and white, and it only needs one 8-bit channel. to be used. And the way the vertex colors are applied in 3D software and after this in Unreal Engine, it's also with this same type of a node that has three RGB channels and one alpha channel. Uh, this is the vertex color node in Unreal Engine, and if we use this, we're gonna use these three channels, red, green, and blue together. If we use this, it will be only one 8-bit channel. Or if we transfer all the vertex colors from red, green, and blue into the alpha channel, we also gonna use only one 8-bit channel. In some cases, these three channels, red, green, and blue, are used for different purposes. For example, generating planar mapping for liveries. And in this case, you only have the alpha channel, which can also be used for vertex colors. It is one 8-bit channel is enough. That's the point that I'm trying to make. And if we have to explain this in Photoshop, sometimes in Photoshop we put roughness texture, ambient occlusion texture, and something else into the red, green, and blue channels. So that's essentially the same principles. It can be used for vertex colors. The little problem with this is that normally Maya will generate vertex colors in the red, green, and blue channels, and then you have to go to other software or use some kind of a plugin, which I'm not aware if there is such a plugin for Maya, but in Blender you can copy red, green, and blue the same way you could copy this in Photoshop. In Photoshop, you can take every black and white image, and instead of using three channels for it, you can just paste it into the red channel and then use it, and it will be the same, like if it is. So this video was mostly with the general information about the vertex colors, and in the next video we're gonna look a little bit more in detail how to apply the vertex colors in a 3D software like Maya, what kind of plugins to enable. We're gonna go through the render settings, the lighting setup, and the tweaking of the result after this in order to get exactly what we need. And after this will be another video with the integration process into the Unreal Engine.